Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Hazard Community and Technical College announces a new grant creating a 3-year, $627,000 apprenticeship program for students in Hazard and Perry County. WYMT's Taylor Upchurch has a preview of my Issues and Answers interview with HCTC President Dr. Jennifer Linden, the Secretary of Education and Workforce Development, Derek Ramsey, and KCTCS Chancellor Dr. Chris Williams.
Piloting an apprenticeship program, also known as the K-Tech model.
They'll start job shadowing their freshman, sophomore year, and then junior and senior year, they will actually go into a full paid apprentice program.
High schoolers can follow a pathway geared toward their career of choice, giving kids a chance to step into full-time employment after graduation or continue working towards an associate's degree.
For this particular area of the state, we're looking at healthcare and IT.
This opportunity takes test writing to another level. Young people decide if the job fits them, and businesses decide if the person fits the job.
We now have to look at creative ways that we can start to remedy our workforce. This morning, I have 115,000 open jobs here in the Commonwealth. I have to fill them.
Not stopping at county lines, officials say there are many opportunities for students to get involved.
We partner, as the 16 KCTCS colleges, a lot on dual credit pathways, so some technical skills in high school that then could transfer right into an apprenticeship later at a company.
Hoping to fill some of the open jobs across the state. In Perry County, Taylor Upchurch, WYMT Mountain News.
You can learn much more about this new grant and more on Issues and Answers Monday night at 7 o'clock.
And those clouds are starting to increase across the area as that system starts to make its way into the mountains. Good news is we don't see those rain chances until your Thursday. But as we go ahead and take a look at some of our weather cameras over into the Mountain Parkway, over into Slade and Powell County, you're seeing those partly to mostly cloudy skies. And as we look into Jackson right now, we're looking at that cloud cover as well. Temperatures near 80 degrees, so still feeling pretty good out there. Dew point in the upper 70s, maybe a little bit muggy out there, but overall not too bad of a day. Those low to mid 80s across much of our area. You're seeing an 84 Prestonsburg, 81 in Harlan, and 82 down into Williamsburg. The wind speed is from the south-southwest, about 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting in some spots up to 20 miles per hour. So that's kept us pretty warm throughout the day, and that'll continue to keep us warm through the overnight hours. We'll see those winds die down a little bit though as that front approaches us, and you'll notice those cloudy skies by the time we get into the overnight hours. Those mostly cloudy skies with thunderstorms starting to return early in the morning and throughout your day on your Thursday. I'll have that full forecast coming up for you guys in just a few short minutes. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Paige. Kentucky Representative Andy Barr is working on new legislation to keep horses safe at racetracks. The safety of horses has come into question recently after high-profile deaths at racetracks, including more than 20 at Santa Anita in California and 2 at Keeneland in Lexington. Hillary Thornton has more about the proposed safety changes.
Excited because it's Derby week.
Congressman Andy Barr talking in the nation's capital just days ahead of the Kentucky Derby about his proposed legislation that he says is an effort to protect the tradition.
We need to make sure that thoroughbred racing in America is safe. We need to make sure that horse players and a new generation of fans have confidence in the integrity of the sport.
This weekend, millions will bet on and watch the fastest 2 minutes in sports, but the excitement is surrounding a sport that is seeing calls for reform in the midst of a rash of horse deaths.
Regardless of the cause of the injuries and the deaths out at Santa Anita and other racetracks, we know that our legislation would elevate American thoroughbred racing to international standards.
The Horse Racing Integrity Act aiming to implement a regulatory group that would create and implement nationwide anti-doping and medication rules, as well as uniform testing standards. These are things that often vary from state to state and even track to track. And the folks here at Keeneland are some of the several major entities in horse racing who just last month signed on to an initiative that eventually will ban race day drugs at their tracks. That initiative set to ban the widely used medication Lasix. Congressman Barr says while unfortunate, the deaths are bringing the issue of safety to the forefront, the conversation that he says is due.
If the industry can self-regulate and get to a place of uniformity on its own, all the better. And we don't need federal legislation.
In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
Congressman Barr said he's being told that the bill will get a hearing in the House Energy and Commerce Committee. The search for a missing Richmond mother continues tonight. Savannah Spurlock disappeared in January after a night at a Lexington bar. Her family has not given up looking for her. They are offering a big reward for information leading to an arrest in the case or finding her. But that reward is only up for 2 more weeks. Spurlock's aunt says police put an expiration date on the reward and hoped someone would come forward sooner. On Friday, friends and family posted flyers around Garrett County where she was seen, but nothing has led to her return. Firefighters in East Tennessee are battling a massive fire right now at a recycling center. Take a look at this video. It's happening at Fort Loudon Waste and Recycling Center in Knoxville. Fire officials say 25 people were working when the fire started. Fortunately, no one was hurt. They say the fire is 1.5 acres. Crews are bringing in excavators to dig through trash to try and reach the source of the fire. In Laurel County, a woman is accused of being drunk around small children. Deputies say Tequila Barton was fighting with a woman in an apartment on Campground Court. They say she was belligerent and did not understand what was going on when police and social services arrived. Barton blew nearly 3 times the legal limit. Deputies say she had slurred speech, red eyes, and smelled of alcohol. She's charged with public intoxication. New numbers are out today on food insecurity here in Kentucky. At a glance, the new food insecurity numbers for Kentucky might look good. They've gone down for both children and adults, but 15% of Kentuckians do not know where their next meal is coming from. Kentucky is still above the national average for food insecurity. Day in and day out, more than 600,000 Kentuckians are at risk of going hungry.
It's just unacceptable that any child in Kentucky is going to bed hungry because we know that hungry children can't learn.
Oldham County has the lowest amount of food insecurity at 7.6% of the population. The worst county is Magoffin at 22.5%. Abusive parents are hopping state to state, escaping the scrutiny of authorities who may have no idea there are past issues. Our national investigative team has found multiple instances of this happening, sometimes with deadly consequences. Here's Investigate TV's Lee Zurich.
Heaven is an angel in heaven now. She was such a blessing. She always brightened up my day, especially when I was stressing.
A poetic tribute to an 11-year-old beaten to death by her own mother. Heaven Watkins, an innocent girl who loved to sing. ABC. Failed by the federal government, including an agency that ignored the law. Born with a disability, Heaven grew up in Minnesota, where court records show a long history of Child Protective Services involvement, including her mother losing custody. After her 18-month stay with her aunt, a Minnesota judge returned Heaven to her mother. Heaven's mother moved to Virginia. After years of interaction with Child Protective Services in Minnesota, she started over in a new state, leaving behind her abusive history.
So Virginia had no idea what happened in Minnesota.
No.
After police say her mother's boyfriend burned her right hand with hot water, allegedly unaware of the history, the state of Virginia returned Heaven to her mother. On May 18th of 2018, a post on Facebook, Heaven Watkins died. Police say killed by her own mother and her boyfriend.
Yeah, it's very hard because for a while I blamed myself because I was like, what else could I have done?
Child abuse experts say things could have been done to protect Heaven. A law even exists, but it's been unfunded and ignored. A 2006 law signed by then-President Bush called for the creation of the National Child Abuse Registry. The registry would allow states to enter names and abuse cases into a national database, giving states the ability to track perpetrators. But the Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, never created it. In Virginia, a state lawmaker is trying to save these kids, innocent children like Heaven Watkins. Virginia's governor recently signed Heaven's Law, which requires officials to check a caregiver's abuse history from other states, going at least 5 years back.
If Heaven's Law had been in place a year and a half ago, I firmly believe that Heaven Watkins would still be alive today.
Orridge says it's all part of Heaven's legacy, helping prevent more child deaths. A little girl who loved to tell a good story, silenced by a mother who slipped through the cracks.
Heaven's mother pleaded guilty to felony homicide. Her boyfriend's trial is set for May. Straight ahead at 5:30 in our Money Watch report, the latest decision from the Fed involving interest rates.
And that pollen count today for tree and grass is high. Good news is for you allergy people that, well, really as we head to the next couple of days, we'll see those rain chances increase, and that'll hopefully give you some relief. I'll have that full forecast coming up for you guys in just a few short minutes.
When county equipment is stolen, that money comes straight out of taxpayer dollars. Coming up, I'm Marianne Fletcher, and I'll show you what the Magoffin County Judge Executive has to say about a recent theft.